And welcome back, everybody. My name is Raze Chaos. You have made it back to my channel, and we are back. It is now December. It is the month of Christmas, and yeah, Raze does have some plans for Christmas, but that probably will not affect the Tuesday videos too much. Just being straight up with you. It's still going to be single pop videos on Tuesdays. And yeah, Fridays, anything goes. You never know what he's going to do. And he might have a little bit of a bonus going on later on in the month. So you'll just have to keep coming and keep checking it out. Keep looking to see what Raze is going to make you have to deal with. And today we've got a very fun one. This one goes all the way back to 1963. And this is Neg-Man, Larry Trainor. There is a lot of fun stuff to talk about this. This is Larry Trainor of the Doom Patrol. And the Doom Patrol's history is very, very strange. Right from the get-go, it's interesting. So, yeah, let's put this guy away and let's talk about it. So, like I said, Neg-Man came in 1963. He was in a comic called My Greatest Adventure, where all the Doom Patrol came out. He came out as a member of the team of Doom Patrol, and he's pretty much stuck with the team ever since. You don't get too many solo Neg-Man stories. It is interesting to note that 1963, when the Doom Patrol came out, it was a group of misfits, and there was another that was led by the chief, who was a bald man in a wheelchair. About that same time, we're actually so close to that same time, another group of misfits came out, led by a bald man in a wheelchair, and that would be the X-Men. They came out so closely, and were just the misfits. You know, the mutants were a gang of outcasts, and you know, the Doom Patrol, they were misfits, they were outcasts, and they were both led by a bald man in a wheelchair. It was so similar, in fact, that like, if you look at the publishing dates, it's almost like there's no way they didn't, that you know, one company didn't know what the other one was doing. No proof has ever been really revealed since the X-Men did come out. Was actually released before the first Doom Patrol. It's the Doom Patrol that, like, basically kind of sat back a little bit. But quite frankly, all the differences, you know, the Doom Patrol was already well ready to be published by the time the X-Men came out. So there was no clear, hey, look at what they're doing, we'll do something similar. I mean, it was really, you know, unless some of the creatives got together and started, you know, chit-chatting about what they were doing, it wasn't a clear-cut case of people being robbed. There are several cases of that in the DC and Marvel universe of the company ripping off the other characters, or the other company's characters. That's been as long as the comics have been published. I mean, Superman came out, everybody wanted a Superman. And of course, Batman, the most ripped off character of all time. While the leader and the basic premise of the team was similar, the characters themselves were really not. You had Robot Man, who was basically a human brain in a robot body. You had Elastigirl, and I'm only talking about the original crew, the original 3 members of the Doom Patrol. Elastigirl, of course, could grow or shrink and stretch in any way she could, which there really wasn't one of those in the original X-Men. And then you had Negative Man, who was by far the most challenging. Uh, the Negative Man is Larry Trainor, and he was a United States Air Force pilot. And he basically, while he was on a test flight, a la Hal Jordan, he came into contact with a negative energy being that basically possessed him. Not only did it possess him, but it transformed his skin to be completely transparent. And hence why he's got the bandages over him. Otherwise, you would basically see muscular structure and, basically his skin. I mean, the human skin technically is transparent. It's the movement of the blood inside that actually gives you its pigmentation. In Caucasians, technically it is transparent, so it just basically made it more transparent and basically made it to the point where it was indistinguishable, and you couldn't he had to basically mummy up. This is a later version of it. The Doom Patrol generally wore, the members that could, would wear pretty much almost a uniform, much like the X-Men originally did. Again, another similarity that was screamed about when it came out. He would basically, the energy being would leave his body and could move at lightning speed, just go wherever, take out groups of people at a time. But that would leave his body. It wasn't like Larry Trainor was just watching this go on. He would lose consciousness, and essentially somebody would have to watch over his body. He'd have to hide somewhere where his body would be safe while the negative energy being shot out of him and went into battle. So again, that was another thing that they had to do where you had to watch. It's what kind of separated him from being one of the more mainstream heroes, because he had a blatant weakness like that. Because if anything happened to his body, the negative energy would not have anywhere to go to return. And the negative energy, I believe, initially could only leave his body for an hour at a time, before it would have to go back into him. So, classic giving a hero time limits. The more limitations you give a hero, the more they have to overcome. And that's generally what makes a good character, because a lot of people like to say, oh, well, he's all powerful, he can do anything. And it's just like that. Okay, then there's really no stakes. There's really no interest. Sure, give him some grade A powers, but at the same time, give him something that brings him back down to earth. And that's what Negative Man had. When the original Doom Patrol run didn't last too long. Again, the similarities, the blatantly calling them copycats, got the publishers to the point where they just decided, you know what, let's just be done with this. And they had a cataclysmic event that cataclysmic. They basically had one of their villains put them on a island and blow them up. And the fun thing about comics is that slowly but surely, I think Elastigirl, well, no, she's even come back at this point. Especially after the Doom Patrol TV series happened. They had to bring the originals back. But again, that was another one of those, we've got to get rid of them. And then they slowly started creeping back. Robot Man obviously being the only survivor of that issue, because basically he blew up and his head flew one way and that's where his brain was. So all they had to do was shine him up and put him on a new body. He did start a new Doom Patrol. Well, I don't know that he did, but like another Doom Patrol was started and he joined that. where there was a negative woman who was basically a female version. And for the longest time, they weren't really too clear as to whether the negative woman was the same negative energy being as what Larry Trainor had. It took a while and that got complicated, but you'll find that with the Doom Patrol, everything gets complicated. You can't have a team where you kill them all off and then slowly bring it back, where it's not going to get one at a time, instead of we all hid under this shell or something. Having them each coming back at different times for different reasons. It was one of those things where it was like, it just got more and more complicated the further on you go, because if they did survive, how did they not know the other one survived, especially if they were all chained together on the island when it blew up? But it gets more and more complicated, of course, but you know what? Let's just go ahead and open this guy up and have a look at him. And here he is. The design they went with, like I said earlier, the Doom Patrol basically had uniform costumes. They were usually red or green or a different color with the big white stripe down the front. That was pretty much it. Made it very easy for character design when you wanted to introduce a new character, because you already had the outfit that they were going to wear. You just had to worry about the head and what makes them different. But it was later on in 1985, I believe, 86. It would have been 86. When Grant Morrison had taken over the Doom Patrol, and that's really where he grabbed a hold of it and he decided, I am going to make these guys weird. As most of you know, I'm not the biggest Grant Morrison fan, so I didn't actually sit down and read the Doom Patrol series when it came out. One of my best friends, however, did, and he would tell me about the stuff that was going on, and I would just kind of look at him like, okay, that doesn't even sound fun. Having the wrappings of the face, that is a staple of Negative Man. As far as the coat being part of that, the big fluffy coat, that actually came from Grant Morrison's run, with the sunglasses being over there, because originally when in the original series, he just had the bandages over his face. He didn't have the glasses over him, which that is a makes sense addition, because otherwise he just looks like the Mummy. The Mummy or the Invisible Man, whichever way you want to go, which I'm sure might have been some of the inspiration behind the head wrappings in the series. But when Grant Morrison got a hold of him, he kind of took the Negative Man and Negative Woman aesthetic and then added yet a third being, which was an element. So there were 3 elements combining into becoming Negative Man. And Negative Man just essentially became Rebus. And Rebus was neither male or female. He was Rebus. They basically referred to Rebus in the books by Hir. I think that's how you would pronounce it, but it would be H-I-R. And in a world now, like, just with every pronoun out there, the fact that nobody uses the H-I-R pronoun just tells you that Grant Morrison was weird. When they started coming up with the different ones, that's not something that anybody picked up and wanted to run with. But yes, eventually the differences would go on as far as the negative energy being able to release, And while it would be exhausting, the body could actually maintain its consciousness. It wouldn't be either Larry Trainor or, the female, which it wasn't even the negative woman that was in there, because the negative woman's name was Valentina Vostok, and she later went on to be part of Checkmate, and that was an offshoot of the Suicide Squad. But let me not trail off too much. I'm likely. But I believe in keeping with that theme, though, the woman was Russian, and I believe her name was something like Eleanor Poole or something like that, who was obsessed with Russian nesting dolls. Which, if you don't know what nesting dolls are, they are the little spherical shaped dolls. You open it up, there's a smaller one with a different design. When you open that one up, there was a smaller, and it just went smaller and smaller as it went, which, was a metaphor for the Rebus being. And eventually, when Grant Morrison had pretty much decided he was done with his run on the Doom Patrol, they didn't know what to do with it, because he had taken it so far away into the weirdness that nobody really even wanted to bring it back. And so basically they had all the characters they really didn't think they could do anything with, or no other writer really wanted to touch. Basically they had them all go to a sentient street known as Danny the Street, which was a street that was sentient, obviously, and would basically teleport anywhere it wanted to. It was a location, and could be anywhere. It would just appear, and for some unknown reason, and this is so weird to me, Danny the Street was gay. Now, you would think that would mean that he was that Danny the Street, which I'm only saying Danny, he, because his name is Danny, would be attracted to other streets, but that's really not the case. The way you would know that Danny was gay is because he would have attributes of a homosexual male. And that, again, that didn't make sense to me, because it's just like, so, well, what? No lesbian? If you're going to play gay, you've got to play gay. Not, this is a male homosexual street. It's like, I understand he was trying to be different, but the more he tried to expose, the less he seemed to know about the actual culture and how he did things, which is one of the big problems I have with Grant Morrison, is that he tries to show off how much he knows, and by doing so, he shows off how much he doesn't know at the same time. Anyway, we've gone kind of deeper into that. But yeah, after Grant Morrison was kind of done with that, basically Rebus and some of the other characters that just no other writer wanted to mess with, they all went to live on Danny the Street. So apparently they're still there. Negative Man has come back in his more classic look, in the new, how many reboots has DC done? They do have Larry Trainor back as Negative Man. He is part of the Doom Patrol, or at least he was. I mean, it's just one of those things I never really kept up with. I'd check it out every once in a while, just because Raze. Okay, if you're curious as to why Raze will know a lot of things about the DC universe, but at the same time will admit when he hasn't read something, it's because growing up, Raze obsessed over Batman. And Batman knew everything about every character whenever he could. So, kind of took that upon myself to know about the characters, even if I wasn't necessarily reading about them. That has only recently spilled into, and I say recently, and I'd say about the 20 years, has spilled into the Marvel universe. Is not nearly as deep or as strong, but it's still relatively important. So yeah. Yeah, that answers a big question about Raze and his obsession with DC detail. But I'm gonna go ahead and get out of here now. Give me a comment down below. Let me know what your level of interest in Neg-Man has gone. Do you just know him casually? Do you know him from the TV series? Do you know him from the old comics? The 60s and pre-crisis stuff. Did you happen to check out Grant Morrison's bizarre wonder-like weirdness? I have other words I'd like to use, but I'm not going to do that. But yeah, I'm kind of interested on how well known Neg-Man actually is to the general populace. Let me know down below, and I will go ahead and get out here now. But never forget, the life is full of odd moments. You never know when you're going to be defined.